Let's welcome to our Congressman Don Beyer, that he make a big effort to join us tonight, and he's gonna share some of his thoughts for this close race. Please, Don, we were waiting for
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Maritza, very much. Welcome. I'm so excited to see 48 people here on a Mount Vernon Democratic Committee meeting. That's wonderful and incredibly encouraging. So much for these newspaper reporters who keep writing that there's no energy, that the Republicans are more excited than we are. I don't believe it, and I'm certainly not seeing it or the door knocks or the rallies or anything else. I just came from voting. We had 3 votes tonight, which means with my 4
Frozen.
Yes, I think he lost signal. He's coming back. He was rushing to get home from voting, and now he got frozen. I'm sure he's coming back. So let's give him a couple of seconds.
Sorry for disappearing. Which is why we have, didn't the governor announce a $2 billion broadband bill today in Richmond? Anyway, he was doing that just for me, but and for everybody in Virginia, thank goodness. You've probably heard, many of you, well, the very few of you that are close to my age remember Jack and Marianne Hurt. They were the precinct captains in Sleepy Hollow Precinct in Mason for many, many years. And they were like the absolute perfect precinct captains. And there was a primary, and the people are still alive, so they will go nameless. Doug Wilder used to say, I'm not going to tell you who they are, I'm just going to give you their initials. Kate Spears, like that. Anyway, so these 2 people who should go nameless were running against each other in a Democratic primary. And one of them knocked on every door in the precinct, so allegedly. The other one had Jack and Marianne Hurt, who've been working that precinct for years. The final vote count on primary night was 122 to nothing. It was like Jerry Connolly over in that Green Spring district, where he gets 100% of the votes. It was just amazing, but that was just because of the quality of the precinct captain. So thank you for doing that. Megan and I took our 2 younger daughters to Iowa the day after Christmas in 2007 for Barack Obama. So we own 3 Iowa precincts in Ottumwa, Iowa, precinct number 1, number 2, and number 10. And we knocked on all those doors 3 times each. And I went to the Ottumwa 1 caucus that night, which if you haven't done, and if it still exists in 2024, I highly recommend it. Very unique political experience, like the running of the bulls in Pamplona or something like that. And it was amazing because I stood outside and half the people going into the caucus said, "Hi, Don," because of the door knocking efforts. It's amazing the difference that it makes. So thank you very much for doing that. The second thing I want to bring up is the most obvious, and you've been hearing it from everybody. This race is just about turnout. We have way more votes than the Republicans have. Look at Joe Biden's 10-point victory just a year ago. And this is especially true in Northern Virginia. And the difference in turnout is not TV ads, despite Glenn Youngkin's $75 million. And it is not speeches, and it is not rallies, and it's certainly not direct mail. Colleen and I were having a conversation today about how long does somebody look at direct mail between when you take it out of the mailbox and you get to the trash can. It was really, really quick. But what does make a difference is when a human being comes to your door or calls you on the phone or even sends you a postcard, a handwritten postcard, and asks you to do something. For years at the dealership, I only had like 1 picture in the office. It was a sign this big. It was actually bigger than that. That's as big as my frame is. That just had 3 letters, ASK, on it. Because it reminded me that my job was just to ask. So that I wish I could say I'm the only car salesman in Congress. There's like 4 others, but I've sold a lot of cars. And one of the things that I learned early on is that at least 4 out of 5 people were going to say no to me, that my closing ratio was going to be about 20%, which means I needed to talk to Robert Bassick and get him to say no, and then Mark Kennedy and get him to say no, and then Christine Holdeman and get her to say no, and then Beverly Bacon to say no, and then Les Sonomark was going to buy that car. But I had to ask each and every one, or I'd never get to the yes from Les. And it's the exact same thing on the voting. We could go on for an hour about the close elections. George Allen got elected to the General Assembly by 5 votes. Jim Scott got elected to General Assembly by 1 vote. We all know that Cree Deeds lost to Bob McDonnell, setting up 8 years of Bob McDonnell by 131 votes. That's like 1 precinct in Alexandria or in Mount Vernon that could have overcome that. And then there are my 2 friends that lost votes on tie votes and toss-ups. And the fact we lost the Virginia General Assembly, the House, for 2 years based on, wasn't a coin toss, it was pulling a name out of a hat. So these door knocks are extraordinarily important, but the best thing. And the last thing I want to bring up is we would love to have you come to Fort Hunt Park on Saturday, November 6th after the election. Bring a sweater, 2:30 to 4:30, just to say thank you and to celebrate, to feed you and give you drinks if it's legal, and just make sure that we are celebrating the Mount Vernon success on November 2nd, electing Terry and Hala and Mark and all our great delegates. So anyway, thank you very, very much. I haven't run statewide for a while, but I still travel a bunch. And the difference between a Mount Vernon Democratic Committee and a Democratic committee almost anywhere else in the state is absolutely night and day, which is why you win so many elections. And it's also why we get killed in places like Southwest Virginia. Bland County, which is a gorgeous little county, nice people, their Democratic committee has 1 person on it. He's a really good person, but it's 1 person. And like, we're surprised we don't win any elections. If they had 48 people at a Bland County Democratic Committee, they'd sweep it too. Anyway, Maritza, thank you very much for giving me the time to talk to you. And thank you guys for all that you do.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I know you have a very busy agenda today and doing the votes and then running home and then go to Mount Vernon, especially that today there's so many events going on just before the elections. Today was a busy day for a lot of people, and you made it to Mount Vernon. So we cannot thank you enough. By the way, talking about thank you, let me thank you in advance for being the greatest sponsor for our volunteer appreciation thank you party that is going to be announced later. Thank you so much.
I just keep asking for money where it's in, and you have to spend it someplace. I enjoy knowing you guys, right? Thank you all very much.
Thank you. I know you have to run, so thank you so much for coming. Bye, Dan.
Thank you. Bye, Maritza.